There's no pop. There's got to be a pop when you open
Pop.
the pickle jar.
You hear, folks? Pop is dead.
Okay. Let's see.
Did you guys see the pickle jar thing?
Oh, there it is. Yeah.
All
Okay.
right, let's see
So.
it pop.
Yeah. Okay.
All right,
So we're
stream will take a couple. Yeah, it's going to take about 30 seconds to boot.
10 seconds. Oh, come on. Are you watching it?
Yeah. We've already got our first
I'm on it.
person.
Yeah, they get on.
Right.
Okay. Let me know as soon as you hear our voices, and then we can.
I'm already hearing it. I'm
Oh,
already
so it sounds
hearing.
Good?
Yep. Hello, one person who's watching.
Hello.
We're here
thanks
for
watching.
memes.
Hey,
No dedicated fan. Oh, actually, I forgot to tell you, I met a fan of Red Star Radio and Video in real life.
What
Huh,
the
nice.
fuck? Really?
wow.
I'm not joking. I went to UCF for a Knights for Socialism thing where they were bashing Trump pinatas, and I met one of them. They say it was really bizarre because I never thought I would meet anybody who listened to us, but there you go.
Holy shit.
Wow. I
Yeah.
think I did meet a fan of us at a event in Toronto, but like I already told them about what I had done before, so they probably checked it out over the time, like in those 2 weeks where I saw them again.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. So anyway, we're gonna answer these questions. I don't know. We get this many questions. Damn. But we're gonna.
Well,
try
I
to
did
answer
link
all-
it to Full Communism on Reddit, as I am a mod there for the
yeah.
time being, so that did get in a lot of questions.
Okay. So
Provisional mod government.
we got
Pretty
this
much.
one. This one at the top was a joke, guys, but people actually upvoted it and answered it, which is kind of funny. Do you think Barney Sanders is a communist or just socialist? People-
Look,
Barney
here's the thing. He's a fucking
Saunders.
demon.
He's an
fucking
Islamic communist with Chinese
Yeah.
characteristics.
Islamic.
Okay. Okay.
Oh,
okay.
man.
Here is the thing. The dialectic of Barney Sanders is from communism. It
Okay,
is
Luis
pure
Niebla,
socialism.
Niebla says, "Is it okay to bash the fash?"
Yeah.
No,
Bash the
that's
fash,
illegal.
bash
Are
the
you
fash.
kidding?
Traitor.
If someone wants,
I'm not advocating for it. However, I'm not personally opposed.
if someone wants
Okay.
to genocide you, you really should just sit down with them and like just work it out. Just see, maybe you might like being ethnically cleansed. You never know until you try it.
Yeah, man.
Hey,
In
bring a gun
1915,
just
yeah, man,
in
dude,
case
guys,
to make your argument
guys.
stronger.
In 1915 Armenia, my great grandfather, when like his entire village and town was being deported, you know what he did? He went up to the pasha and said, "Stop it! That's not cool." And then he went out of there and he told people he trusted like his teacher, his parents, and the police. Actually, you can't trust the last one.
Okay. now
But yeah, he
that's
did stop the
depressing.
genocide, like just like that.
Look, I don't agree with ethnic cleansing, but I will defend
Yeah.
your right to organize and recruit to the death. I am a liberal. I'm
death.
consistent.
So love me, love me. Okay. Question: Socialism killed 82 billion people. Why do you support him?
82 billion is not enough.
There's a guy named
Well, the
Socialism
thing
who killed
is,
82
the
billion
thing
people.
is,
Sean Borg. And then Ricefield Pepe says because it hasn't killed enough yet. Oh boy. Way to
Look,
go,
the thing
guys,
is,
making us look bad.
ultimately, as you can see in my 5th Trash Can of Ideology video, I am in the pocket of George Soros. I am getting all that sweet white genocide money.
Oh yeah.
How is there not a reason to do this?
Okay, Red Zealand says, what's your opinion of Cuba? Do you think it's still communist and would you live there if given the chance? Well, I'd prefer to live in a wealthy English-speaking country, but if out of any third world country, definitely Cuba.
Yes,
I've been there
you're a
once, but
hypocrite.
mostly was on the resort, to be honest. I was just a kid then. I think it's still it's still led by communists. I think seems like it.
Yeah,
but I think the question is it still a worker state? And the answer I think is yes. I think it's still a worker state.
Yeah, more or less
Albeit
what
at
I've
a
said.
crossroads.
Yeah, like for me, it's not practical to go to Cuba because I don't speak Spanish and I don't know what their immigration laws are like, or like how the island can do when America is still having a massive chokehold on it with its embargo, and not to mention that Trump is pretty much going to be reversing the sort of semi-detente Obama started. So like you're essentially going to be walking into a country that's going to be constantly be punched in the face by its former colonial master. But yes, out of any third world country, Cuba is probably within the top. Hell, I do recall a time when Cuba did score very high on the Human Development Index, and things are improving from what I've heard. Like they're getting in more. They're getting in more better internet deals and all that, and they still rank very highly in terms of education, and a lot more tourists are going there and whatnot. So the country can only go forward. Do I think it will survive? Well, it depends. I mean, like Fidel's death could be a really bad sign, but like there did seem to be enough domestic support after his death that shows that it might be here to stay. But I'm not going to make any bets because it can really go either way in the future.
Yeah.
We'll have to wait. We'll have to wait and see.
Anti-imperialism
guys, just
says...
quickly.
What?
Just quickly, the live stream is still titled presidential debate live stream, by the way.
Oh shit.
Also,
whatever.
Chris X, we are doing Q&A stuff, so keep your questions coming. Hopefully.
Yeah. Or not.
Why does it say presidential debate live stream?
I'll fix it later. Because it's stupid. Because you try to schedule a live stream and it doesn't go to the video that you scheduled. So the presidential live stream was the last one was just stuck in the air, and now it finally took that title for, I don't know, I can't figure it out.
I'm writing an email for president.
Which country do you think is most likely to have a communist revolution at the moment? Well, none of them are having one at the moment. Someone said...
Well, I mean, I think Rojava is kind of having one in a way. I think you could argue that. It's not really a country, though. It's a territory, but nonetheless.
Yeah, it could be like the Zapistas.
Kind of more of a, I don't know, liberal revolution with maybe social democratic, I think. I don't know. I always knew him. Oh, yeah. Why do you not see the only holy ideology, Posadism, as true? Good point.
Well, the reason why is because ultimately Hosierism is the hard counter. Hosier's bunkers are protected by God and Marx's beard.
So what kind of commie are you? ML, anarchist, Trotskyist, etc. Well, I come from a Trotskyist background. I would mostly just say that I'm like just a regular Leninist, to be honest.
Ditto.
Yeah, pretty much. Orthodox Leninist, if that's a thing. I don't know, just regular...
Yeah, way I see it, every succeeding Leninist figure, whether it be Trotsky, Stalin, Castro, Tito, Che Guevara, Mao, etc., all had their flaws, all had their strengths. I think it's best to learn and move on, from what I understand.
Look, ultimately, with me, I'm basically the centrist. I am the SOCDEM equivalent of the communist tendencies. I just take from every single tendency, and it means I may be a little bit inconsistent, but I don't care. It's still close enough.
Yeah, it's okay. You do you, babe. You do you. Okay, what do you think about
Cheers.
these right-wing YouTube channels like PJ Watson and Stefan Molyneux? Well, I don't like them. What else is there to say?
It could be a little scary that they are
getting boring.
It's like it could be a little scary in that they're gaining a lot of popularity, not out of like jealousy for the popularity, but it is a good indicator that the far right has essentially made a comeback. Like I don't care about YouTube subscribers because like when you go to protests and stuff, you do see that there's a massive number of the far left as well. But it does show that the alt-right has its presence on, YouTube and whatnot.
Well,
The thing with
Stefan Molyneux's videos are long and boring. I tried to find one when we first started this channel to do a reaction video, but they were just too damn long.
The thing with Stefan Molyneux, in my opinion, is that he's basically the very example of why not only me, but quite a lot of people basically say that ANCAPs are pretty much most likely to become Nazis whenever faced with anything that they see as authoritarian.
He's
support.
already walking back a lot of his anti-state stuff. I mean, he's a Trump fan.
It all starts with Pinochet because like Pinochet used the Chicago School of Economics, but it was like a pretty totalitarian guy. So He's our gateway drug into the rest of the far right.
But I
Mm.
thought ANCAPs were anti-nationalist, weren't they?
Yeah,
don't
but
think so.
they don't
No.
care. They don't care, honestly, about nationalism.
Yeah, it just goes to show how it's just like a cool new right wing term for them. Doesn't really mean much. And Paul Joseph Watson, he's even
He's
worse
British
because-
Alex Jones.
He's even worse because his videos are short, and that makes them more popular and viral. But he's just like yelling shit like, "The regressive leftists want the Muslims to come in. We're getting
Right.
we're getting raped by the Muslims, and the leftists are gonna let them come in. You fucking idiots!" Like, holy shit, dude, calm down.
The other thing about Alex Jones versus Paul Joseph Watson is that Paul Joseph Watson doesn't have those amazing meltdown moments
Yeah.
where he just starts yelling and screaming and ripping off his shirt. At least that has comedy value.
What is
Very
socialism?
poor value.
Communist
Never forget
philosophy?
Alex Jones and Pickled Jar Gate.
Yeah. What is socialism? Communist philosophy with bunkers. But seriously, I guess it's just a continuation of the
Pokemon.
anti-revisionist movement after China went revisionist, basically. He was the
Yeah.
true stalwart of Marxism, Leninism. What do you think about Tito? I actually met him. That's pretty cool. I wish I met him. That's what I think of him. I wish I met him too, but died before I was born.
Croatian hacker. So I'm guessing we probably have a guy from Croatia, obviously.
Yeah.
Which is kind of cool because normally when you get these guys are like, oh, I'm from insert ex-communist country here, even though I was born in 1989 or 1990. I know exactly what it was like, even though I never actually grew up under the regime or was too young to fully remember it and all that shit. As for me and Tito, like I said, as a generic Leninist, I did think he had some strengths when he bashed the Fash in World War II. And he was a bit of a skillful diplomat and all that, but I think in the long run, the non-aligned movement made him more vulnerable to Western attempts to bring him down, and that's going to be a strong black mark against communism for himself. So I think the decision to go non-aligned was a pretty big mistake, but he did do some good fash mashing and was, as a leader, was cool, I guess. So
yeah, we're gonna get
no
into
harm done.
Yeah, we're gonna get into the non-aligned movement later.
I do actually say that I am a Titoist when many people ask me about my ideology because many people just brush it off and don't ask further.
Yeah, but
The
yeah,
Nuremberg trials didn't go far enough.
he beat the Nazis and he set up worker states, but I guess he went a little revisionist later on. I don't know too much about it, but yeah, that was good at least. How does the revolution defend itself? Well, you've seen what they've done in the past. Whatever they have to. Sometimes it's kind of shitty what they have to do, but inspire others to have revolutions in their own countries. Yeah, that's the best solution. But obviously, it's like, there's kind of a dialectic between permanent revolution and socialism in one country. There's an advantage to both. You can't just spread your forces too thin and then you won't win in any one country at all. But at the same time, if you only build in one country without trying to explore the revolution, then it won't work either. So, all about balancing. What communist parties are you in / support? I'm not in one right now. I was in Socialist Action Canada for years and did a lot of stuff with them. And what are you in, Sergio?
I'm generally in Fight Back, which is considered to be a Trotskyist group, I think, part of the International Marxist Tendency, only because they're the main communist force around and near me. There are a few wings to Fight Back. The right wing is essentially the New Democratic Party, although by their standards it's the left wing of the New Democratic Party. And the actual left wing of Fight Back are just like the full-blown out Leninists, even some anarchists there. We actually had a guest speaker who was from another country. He was a farm worker. I think he was an accelerationist, actually, when I think about it in hindsight.
Well, one of the guys from England or something?
No. He was from. He was black. I think he was from either West or Central Africa.
Oh,
Oh yeah, West Central Africa, and he basically was like,
Yeah.
thanks to Trump, everyone is now getting woken up, and we have to take advantage of them waking up.
So you haven't joined Fight Back, but you do stuff
No,
with them
I've
usually.
no, I've technically joined them at this
Oh,
point.
okay. All right, so yeah, I can talk to you about. Yeah, I know most of the guys that you know then, because I used to
Yeah.
see them all the time. So that's international Marxist tendency, in case anyone's wondering. They're for some reason in Canada they're bigger than CWI. I don't know why, but they basically came out of CWI, so they're kind of like socialist alternative. Not quite as entryist though, not quite as right opportunists when it comes to like they don't support um, Bernie Sanders, the American branch. Anyways, what do you think about third worldism? Okay, I answered
Ew.
this on Reddit recently. Basically, with third worldism, the thing is like no one can deny the problem of the bourgeoisification of the first world workers, the fact that we're all they're mostly labor aristocrats. They're so comfortable that revolution is extremely difficult. The thing is, it doesn't mean it's impossible just because it's extremely unlikely at this point in time. One thing they have to consider is, and Stalin himself said this in his essay "Anarchism or Socialism," is that you can't base your revolutionary strategy just on the way things are right now. You have to look what direction things are going, and if you look at that, I think if you look at trends like neoliberalism, austerity, outsourcing jobs, I think the first world working class might actually be getting re-proletarianized, if you will. There's going to be more and more reason to fight, and I think that's kind of what we're seeing with the rise in the far right, the rise in the populist left, at least in Europe. So I think the thesis is starting to wear thin a little bit. The other thing is that I sometimes see third worldists do is that they kind of just make a crudely economistic argument where they say if everyone made the same amount of money, then first world people would lose out because their average income would go down. But the thing is, a social revolution would completely restructure the whole economy. So you can't just leave it at that. It's like, yeah, we would have less luxury. We wouldn't be able to like have two cars and drive on an 8-hour road trip every weekend and buy a new smartphone every year or shit like that. All the stuff we don't need, but the stuff we do need, it would be a lot better. You wouldn't be tied to your job. You wouldn't be deathly afraid of losing your job if you don't get a healthcare plan. Everyone would have healthcare. Everyone would have a job. So these are all a lot of anxieties and worries that even first world workers have that they wouldn't have anymore.
Right. As for me, I do agree with Evan that it would be a pretty big lie to say that workers in the first world are not largely, liberalized or labor aristocracy. It's not even.
They are labor aristocracy, but
yeah, I'm saying it's yeah, I'm just saying, yeah, it's a lie to say that none of us are labor aristocracy, because the thing is that no matter how bad we have it in the capitalist state, our counterparts in the third world are going to have it a whole lot worse. You can even see it in places just like, I wouldn't even maybe say in places like in just the first world though, because like I know like, and maybe second world and third world countries, like non-Western countries is what I mean. Some of the proletariat there can be considered labor aristocracy as well because they do earn a lot of high earnings. But the thing is though is that the problem with third worldism is that often it states that there's no revolutionary potential in the first world, and I think that's a pretty big lie. I mean, you see the massive response to Donald Trump. You see all these groups now joining socialist movements in the face of the rise of the alt-right. And you do see that there are still active communist movements within the first world and all. So like, yes, it is important to acknowledge that our counterparts in the third world generally have it worse, but ultimately that doesn't mean that the first world should be completely seen as hopeless when trying to instigate a communist uprising. It can go both ways.
Okay.
If you can afford 200 or more bottles
Yeah.
of cognac per year, you are officially part of the first world.
Okay, Punk Rock Trucker says, which guy would you ship yourself with? I don't know what that means. Thoughts on Rojava?
Relationship. It's
I don't know.
nah.
Thoughts on, anyways, thoughts on Rojava. I support self-determination, struggles of oppressed people and whatnot. I don't support the fact that they're collaborating with the U.S. I don't think I think it's important to insist that your own state just pull out of the Syrian civil war completely. So that should be basically our basic demand. But
Yeah, I
think?
do support the elements of democratic confederalism within Rojava and the fact that they are kicking ISIS fascist ass. But pretty much like if they are being fully supported by the United States, then they really need to cut that out. I'm not saying they have to go and get support from Russia or something. Although I would say that getting support from Russia could, in the long term, be in their favor because Russia does not have the infrastructure or ability to have the massive imperialist empire it wants to have. So there's that. Whereas the United States would be more likely to stick around and give you orders and undo the democratic confederalism and feminism and equality you want to achieve for the sake of another puppet state.
Yeah. What are your thoughts?
And I do think that,
yeah, I think they're doing a lot of interesting stuff there, especially with like democratic confederalism, as well as the really kind of it's a very new idea in the Middle East of gender equality that's being achieved, as well as the LGBTQIA, equality there too. And they're still trying to do it in a very conservative Muslim society. So I mean, and you guys have already stated everything, like what issues I have with it. Like, yeah, I think connecting with the U.S. might be bad tactically, but I mean, I'm hoping they'll be stick around long enough to see where this experiment goes. So that's my thought.
Yeah, what are your thoughts if anarchists were to uprise again? That'd be pretty cool, I guess. I know you're a Silicon.
I think that's the best idea. I think that's the greatest idea.
We hate capitalism. Hate it.
I do have to just say that even though stuff like the Ukraine were cool, that Ukraine was still basically a state with a secret police force. So yeah, you get some, you lose some.
Yeah. What, in your opinions, is the greatest obstacle to modern leftism and the way to overcome it? Well, bourgeoisification of labor aristocracy, I guess, and the deep state and super imperialist armies like NATO. Those are pretty big obstacles. What do you think are the greatest arguments to convince a liberal about anti-fascism? I don't know, man.
The example of how basically fascism, it very much relies on being able to outshout your opponent and not really caring if you're not being logically consistent.
Well, actually, show them the video that I made, 5 Ways Liberals Defend Capitalism. Maybe I kind of took it on in that video. I don't know.
I think maybe discussing like the civil rights era and how violence really brought into motion the Civil Rights Act. It would be also a good way to maybe, I don't know if it convinced them, but I think they might actually have more of a lean to that, considering the lost liberals take that civil rights was a liberal victory because it was Democrats who put it into law. Yeah. So,
which do you think is the greater threat long term? The Trump. By the way, I have a word replacer. It makes it say grump. But the Trump presidency or his neo-Nazi supporters. Trump, he has a lot more power. He's much bigger.
Right.
I mean, neo-Nazis are on the rise, but yeah. President Trump
small. Like the actual, literal neo-Nazis, still pretty small, I think.
If I had to answer these three myself, I'd say one of my greatest obstacles to modern leftism, just within the movement, is probably the fact that there are still people who think, the Democrats are leftists. Oh, Hillary would have been such a progressive president. I'm like, no, get rid of your Beyonce-styled feminism and just see it that as part of intersectionality, if just because like, you know, you have someone who might be liberal on this issue or progressive on this issue doesn't mean they're going to be progressive on all fronts. And at the end of the day, they are bourgeoisie and it's their interests. Second, I would say, yeah, the video you showed about how liberals still defend capitalism would be pretty good. And I could just show them that, you know, attempts to stop Hitler, like through liberalism and democracy, failed in the Weimar Republic and whatnot. And or like you know, in Europe and the Middle East, liberalism, it did not stop the rise of Salafi Wahhabism. It has to be confronted. And three, I'd say the Trump presidency is a greater threat only because he will enable more neo-Nazis. That's it.
Yeah. Can you do a
Yeah,
video?
I agree with you, Sergio. I think mass media and propaganda is like probably the biggest problem we have, considering that's the thing that inspires people to even like become politicians or capitalists or businessmen and stuff like that, because propaganda drives way deeper than any sort of violent act could.
Yeah. And just one more thing, Dan, you reminded me about this. In regards to the media right now, they're actually trying to frame Trump and his ilk as like actual like secret communists, because Bannon identified as a Leninist, and now everyone's saying, Trump is like Hugo Chavez now, and then or like he's like Che Guevara now, or like he's Mao now because he wants to do a cultural revolution. It's like horseshoe theory bullshit, and I think they're doing that because the liberal media is aware that the far left is on the rise, and they just don't want people joining that.
Okay.
We live in an interesting time.
Can you do a video about difference of Maoism and other Marxism? Yes, I was thinking of doing that. So yeah, maybe like a quick series on basic stuff like that, saying the difference between different sections on time. 48 freedom and self-will, liberty transcends. Dogi. Thank you, Dogi, for making your name just one Dogi. That's like kind of tough. It was getting too like I couldn't read the whole notification on my phone. It was too long. What do you think is the biggest problem for communist movement? Well, I think we already did that. How can these be? I don't know. Hippocrates. Favorite socialist news source? Oh, Jason Unruh, obviously. No, I don't know.
Maybe Jack.
Suck my dick.
Maybe Jacobin by default. I don't know. Or
I don't know if
I don't know. Honestly,
Lee Camp is pretty good. I don't know if he's socialist, but he definitely talks about he does seem to have a lot of anti-capitalist lean to him. I also do like Novara Media on SoundCloud. They're pretty great too. They're an anarchist media stuff, but they're incredibly professional. They cover everything, even though they're more British based. Yeah.
Okay. Thoughts on neo-Marxists? Like, I don't know those guys. Do you guys know Laclos and Muff?
No idea.
No.
Okay. And what is up with Zizek? I think the thing that he's doing now is he's kind of like trying to just kind of go viral by saying something that sounds outrageous, just to be. He's basically kind of being.
Yeah, but he's always done that though. He's never stopped not doing that.
Right.
Yeah. I guess that's true. Trump is trying to clog up the courts. Okay, I don't know what that has to do with anything. Faithful to Marxism, which abandoned Marxism. Is that like a joke? I don't know. I don't even know what they're trying to say there. Sorry, I don't get what the point of that comment was. Thoughts on revolutions in Africa in the 60s and 70s. I haven't really read that much into them yet. Like right now I'm trying to read the history of all the worker states. I've gotten up to Vietnam and Laos. I'm reading now. Everyone else I've read, so I can know more about them. But yeah, I don't know much about the African Revolution. Do you guys know much about that stuff?
I've read a little bit about Thomas Sankara and Burkina Faso. I mean, it's kind of ironic for me to say as an anarchist, but there's a lot of things I do like that he did, especially when he's taken such a more ecological lean than any other Marxist-Leninist that's ever existed.
That's interesting.
So yeah, because he's it's still a tradition now, like to keep growing trees in Burkina Faso because the imperialists, colonialists, took so much away beforehand. So I think that's interesting. Although that firing of the teachers when the teachers went on strike in the mid '80s, that was kind of bizarre to me. But I mean, you lose some, and you win some. But I think Thomas Sankara had good intentions, as pretty much most communists have in history. So
okay. Favorite films and music. I like leftist music, like the kind they find on Get Chan. Go on Get Chan on YouTube. Any socialist music from around the world, so it's pretty cool. Other than that, punk, metal, and rap.
I
What about
enjoy
you guys?
personally I enjoy retrowave a lot right now, which is like synthwave of the 80s, or like synthwave produced now that's meant to sound like stuff from the 80s. Favorite films, I really do enjoy Kung Fury a lot because there's a lot of fast bashing. Same with Inglorious Bastards,
Yeah, those are good
Star
ones.
Wars, obviously. Pretty much any film that includes fast bashing is good. Although right now I just saw and love Lego Batman. I swear to God, it's
Oh,
the
cool.
best DC film since The Dark Knight.
I like the Lego movie. That one was pretty good.
Yeah.
Joyeux Noel is one of my favorite movies. It's a movie that
Oh
almost
yeah,
made me
yeah.
cry, and
Yeah,
it's a
I've
very
heard about that
leftist
one.
leaning movie as well. I also
Yeah,
like
yeah.
Pink Floyd's The Wall, mostly because I love Pink Floyd, but I just love the art style in that, and it's so cool to look
Oh,
at
that's cool.
and watch. Some of my favorite music, Rage Against the Machine. That's kind of an obvious one, but you know I do really
Yeah.
enjoy them. And my two favorite bands are Pink Floyd and Stone Temple Pilots. So I'm really into grunge and progressive rock. So
What are your
Nice.
opinions on various ideologies? Trotskyist, well, he used to be in a Trotskyist party. Juche, I don't know. Make a whole video about North Korea, I guess. Juche, yeah. It strikes me as very socialism in one country. Like, do whatever you can to survive, which is, I mean, what can you say about that? They survived. They achieved it. Um, Sometimes it's kind
Yeah.
of a Pyrrhic victory, right? Like you survive, but there's a lot of country problems in the country, but you at least beat the imperialists. So you
Yeah.
know,
I
It-
personally
what can you
think they
do,
have
really?
fascist
I don't know.
tendencies to me. That's what I think. That's what Juche feels like. It's like what Pol Pot did essentially, taking the communist
Nah,
name, but
I don't
instead
think so.
forming different parts. I mean, yeah, it's like North Korean history is very varied with that, especially after the Korean War. But nonetheless, like
Yeah,
now
that's-
today, I think it's more fascist.
I think South Koreans were the real fascists, but
Well,
Hoshes,
yes, okay, they're both fascist, but just saying for North Korea in general.
nah, I disagree. Hoshes, I don't know. The Hosha is like anti-revisionist, so maybe your favorite communist leaders. I don't know. I think my favorites are probably Castro and Che. I like Cuba.
Well, for me, it's probably Lenin and Castro.
Yeah. Oh, and Lenin. Yeah, of course. Can't forget Lenin. What are your
You
thoughts
can
on
never
it?
have a more dynamic pair than Engels and Marx.
Yeah.
I think I have to agree. Does Emma Goldman count? Is she anarcho-communist? I don't
Sure.
know if
Yeah,
she is.
sure.
Yeah, sure. Okay. Yeah, but she's
Close
pretty.
enough.
I think she's the coolest person who's ever lived, in my opinion.
Actually,
So
I would say Rosa as well.
Just keep her away from Bernie.
Yeah. What are your thoughts on Israeli kibbutzim? Well, they're pretty good if you're an Israeli that wants to live there. And, if you're a Palestinian that got kicked out of their land, it's not going to make much of a difference to you how nice the Israeli communities are, whether it's a cool collectivist kibbutz or something. So, yeah.
I mean, I only know insofar as Noam Chomsky has explained it, because he says like it's like a good
Yeah.
example of anarchism, even though the community is kind of very conservative in the way you do stuff, because you have to be like basically very integrated into the community. So, like you have like of course you have to share the work too, but it's mostly like farm stuff, and basically people also only read like the same newspapers and stuff like that. And Israel, I think Israel and kibbutz have a deal where like the kibbutz have to like to train their kids in order like to be the part of the military for Israel.
Great.
Yeah, I mean that's
Another
kind of
reason
with the
I don't
whole of
like
Israel,
them.
but with kibbutz they have to do that. So
Yeah, just
Yeah.
ask. Well, George Habash isn't alive anymore, I think. Ask what's her face, Leila Khaled, what she thinks of how cool the kibbutz is. I don't think she cares either. What is
Yeah.
the best way to destroy a fascist? A Katyusha, T-34. Yeah, probably T-34.
I have the answer. I have the
T-34.
answer for this. I have the answer for this,
What?
and it's very, very clear. It is a well-planned and well-resourced offensive, destroying an entire German army group in a couple of weeks. That's the one surefire way to destroy a fascist.
no, dude,
Operation
it's a well-written
Bagration Bay.
post on Facebook. Duh.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
Well,
like 10
How could I
Beyonce
have been
albums
so
and shit.
foolish?
Will you live stream again? We're live streaming right now, Cthulhu. What do you think of that, buddy?
Answer
Well,
questioned.
We'll
But
Is he in
other
the
than
chat?
that,
probably do it in the later.
no, he left a
Food?
comment. But other than that, I don't
Okay.
know. Maybe for reaction videos, it might be a good idea. I don't know. Takes so long though. Like, damn. Great ending, Lamau. What do you think of labor vouchers? They're pretty good for transitioning away from currency, from money, I guess. What are some good Marxist memes? Go look in our playlist, Dank Memes. You can find all your good ones. But other than that, r/full communism on Reddit, of course. What do you think about Nehru and the non-aligned movement, i.e. Nasser, Tito, Sukarno, and why is their brand of socialism the best? Well, I don't agree with the premise, let alone the conclusion you've drawn there. Non-aligned. So first of all, the non-aligned movement was not a socialist movement. I don't think it was really ideologically cohesive at all, as far as I know, other than just supporting the right to self-determination. But beyond that, Nehru, so he was like the first prime minister of India, the Indian
Okay.
National Congress,
Right.
and Nasser, Gamal Abdel Nasser, kind of a leading figure in Arab nationalism and leader of Egypt. I believe he nationalized the Suez Canal, and there was like a whole standoff with imperialist powers like Britain and stuff. So that was pretty cool. Good for him for doing that. And Sukarno, same kind of deal in Indonesia. So yeah, I support self-determination and the struggle against imperialism. So good on them for that. But I don't think that really makes them socialists. Maybe reformist. I'm sure there was nationalizations, but weren't really.
Yeah, for me, like when it comes to like the leaders like Nasser and Tito, I do generally respect them, but I wouldn't say that being non-aligned exactly helped their cases.
But Tito at least was socialist.
Yeah.
As for the non-aligned movement, like my favorite figure in the non-aligned movement actually was Castro, though. Which is kind of weird because, like, not only was he a member of the non-aligned movement, but he was, like, I believe the president or secretary or whatever for a long time.
Hang on, what's the non-aligned movement? I'm not familiar with it.
It was during the Cold War.
Yeah, during the Cold War, there was the West and the Soviet bloc, and then there was just non-aligned movement was basically for third world countries to basically say we're the other category, we're everyone else.
Oh, I see. Okay.
So non-aligned. So the thing that's weird is that Castro kind of led it, whereas he was, getting a lot of aid from the Soviet Union, the whole missile crisis thing. So it kind of strikes me as kind of weird how he was leading the non-aligned movement, but he was pretty aligned.
Right.
But anyways.
It does show you that the non-aligned movement does lack cohesion. As for non-aligned movement, like my favorite leaders would probably be Tito, Castro, Castro first, then Tito, then probably Abdel Nasser.
Yeah. Oh yeah, and he also led the 6-Day War against Israel.
Yeah.
Which sort of backfired.
Yeah, but he did. But he did technically succeed in other places.
Yeah, I can't blame him for trying. How much do you love Wiener? Quite a bit, actually, more than you might think.
Wiener Schnitzel. That's good.
Which leftist subreddits are each of your favorites and why? Well, we came out of full communism. Personally, I think my favorite is communism because it's kind of Marxist only, strictly Marxist only. If you do anything wrong, they'll get mad at you.
I will say that full communism is mine. I don't really go into communism too much. I really don't know why I don't. Maybe because I feel like late stage capitalism and our socialism, because they're bigger, I probably just go there. But also it's kind of generally Maoist in terms of tendency, which I don't really see a problem with. It's just that if you want to be a Trotter or ANCOM, I think like you'll get more of those in RSOC or late stage capitalism for like nuanced discussion, or like hell, even like I think you're going to find more Hojists and people like who line more with Castro's ideals in the generic subs anyway. But yes, RSOC, full communism, late stage capitalism, R communism are pretty good. I also do think Complete Anarchy has some pretty funny memes, but I think they kind of hate full communism, so I don't know.
Well, we hate them in like a the satirical way. I don't know if we really hate them, but it's we have to make some jokes about it ourselves.
Right.
Okay. Do you know about H Bomber guy? Yeah, he's pretty cool.
Love him.
Yeah, he's the guy how like you guys introduced me to him, and I really enjoy his videos. I would love if we could talk to him at some point, maybe invite him on the show. He's also the first guy that I found out how JonTron is such an asshole.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and like it's the communalists. They're all communalists.
Oh
like,
yeah.
what the fuck?
Yeah, they're communists.
Yeah.
Communalists.
JonTron really fell from grace, man.
Yeah, I still think he's funny, but geez, I did not know he has such like a right-leaning, kind of ideology. But
Yeah, yeah.
Least,
It's unfortunate.
At least H3 isn't as bad as them. So they work with them. But anyway, yeah, H Bomber guy's cool. I also like Garrett, and Tom Avella's pretty good too, and ContraPoints, although he's kind of liberal, but he's pretty good. Yeah, I like how there's kind of like a anti SJW trend. People are just calling out how ridiculous all these people are in all these videos.
Yeah, there's also guys like Shauna and Jen who are pretty good with that.
You ever studied American Marxist socialists like William Foster? Don't really know him. Eugene Debs. I've read a bit about the life of Eugene Debs. I saw the documentary with that was narrated by Bernie Sanders. Other than that, I haven't really studied American socialists. I read John Reed's 10 Days That Shook the World, although that's mostly really just about Russia. But it's like his experience in Russia. But I also saw the movie Reds, which goes more into his life and the history of American socialism up to the founding of what eventually became CPUSA. So that's a really good movie. I recommend anyone to watch Reds. Kind of long, but there's some really good parts if you like the politics.
Right.
I've read quite a bit of Eugene Debs. I think he's awesome. Emma Goldman is of course great. Noam Chomsky, of course, I'm a huge fan of.
Oh yeah, and Chomsky. Yeah, that's true. Yeah,
and Murray Bookchin is also great too. There's a lot of good ones I like, and I feel like I've read many of them.
Who was worse, Khrushchev or Gorbachev? That's easy, Gorbachev.
Gorby probably.
Definitely.
Yeah, I would say so. Khrushchev kind of started the ball rolling, but yeah, Gorbachev was the guy who put the nail in the coffin.
Trump can't read.
Yeltsin was probably worse than all. No, not probably. He was worse.
Yeltsin was even worse. When will Gramsci get more attention? I don't know.
No idea who that is.
I'm probably gonna do more research on him with my more. I'm working on a video about art and capitalism, so I'm probably gonna use him as a reference.
Well, Antonio Gramsci kind of came up with like a lot of theory about ideological hegemony. I think how the capitalist state doesn't have to like throw you in jail anymore. It's because nobody questions capitalism anymore. It's so ingrained into everything we do. The way how we look at the world is all from a bourgeois philosophical mindset. I think that's a lot of what Gramsci talked about. But yeah, I haven't read much into him. I plan to, of course.
Same.
I think he did most of his work in jail in Mussolini's Italy. Seems to be less known Marxist philosopher. Yeah, that's true. I think just because, well, in terms of Marxist philosophers, the big ones were the guys that got stuff done, and he unfortunately was in jail. But yeah, it's too bad. That appears to be it.
There are some questions on full communism that were answered. Yeah. Let me just get them out.
Yeah, why not? We got time.
Yeah, I was able to announce it, and I'll probably announce this video too, so it should get a lot more views once it's done. So
Sweet.
There should be a few right here.
Gotta get that sweet karma.
Yeah. Well, karma and subscribers. Okay, here we go. So from Reddit user completely unbiased, which is a lie in real life. You can never be completely unbiased. She says, they say, what would you say the odds are of a revolution in a major industrial power within the next 25 to 50 years? I don't like making that guess at all because I
Yeah,
could be
me
proved very
too.
wrong. Either I guessed the wrong country, like, Marx was probably guessing Germany would be the first to go communist, and he was semi-right because only East Germany would go to be communist. Russia would be the first actual one.
Yeah. Yeah.
I
pretty
wouldn't know.
much.
There's no way of knowing.
Yeah, well, I'm not going to make any guesses. I don't want to be jinxed.
Okay,
There's
what
always a
else?
possibility for every industrial country to have a revolution,
Yeah.
but I couldn't tell you which.
Okay, so Comrade, I have no idea how to pronounce that. It's XLARS Z1, so Zalrus Z1 says, thoughts on socialism of the 21st century.
What is that, like
I think,
Chavez's idea?
yes, I think that's Chavez, yes.
Well, if he wants to ask thoughts on Venezuela, Venezuela is kind of like an aborted social revolution, like half a social revolution, like they didn't carry out the whole thing. I think he sort of became kind of Bonapartist in that there's got to be support for carrying out a full revolution, a social revolution, but it hasn't happened yet.
Pretty
Um,
much.
yeah, it's what happens when you try to regulate capitalism without the consent of the capitalists. They're going to completely destroy the country if you try to do that.
Right. I also do think it's like an almost butchered attempt at trying to create a Scandinavian welfare capitalist country for the time being, but they've messed that part up too.
Yeah. Well, because
Yeah, it's not socialist.
Part of it is because of imperialism, of course. The third world countries aren't allowed to go social democratic. That's something that only first world countries are allowed to do. If a third world country tries to be social democratic,
Yeah, it'll be crushed. Yeah, so I don't exactly blame the Chavez group for what's going on, but like it does show what happens when you take the wrong decisions and trying to create a social revolution. So next, Comrade is Zero XRIX Zero Zurix. You guys need better usernames, to be honest. But I still love you all anyway. So he says, she says, they say, insert pronoun here, say, what is the best socialist party in the United States?
I don't know. I guess I would say Socialist Action because I know those guys.
I'll just agree with you on there because I'm not an American.
Um,
Comrade Rianu, he says, she says, they say, pronoun says, CPUSA, of course. Every good FBI agent knows that.
Of course.
Yeah.
yeah, they're basically a new Democratic Party. That's all they
Okay.
are.
Okay. User Graham Galt says, what do you feel is the best course of action for expanding communist socialist ideals in the United States is?
Making
Course of
YouTube videos.
Yeah, and subscribing to our channel. No, but seriously, best course of action: A, reject the Democrats and realize they're not going to help you for the time being, or in the future, for that instance, because with Trump's victory, they're going to move even further to the right. And B, just go out, revolt, and ignore all these liberal bullshit attempts at like trying to silence you. You don't have to be violent. That's a bit of a myth and a lie. But if you do have to be violent and to protect yourself, like, don't get discouraged. Be my guest.
Yeah, I would say that too. Like, go out more and join some movements. Like, even if they're like Democrats, basically you could totally infiltrate them if there's enough of you, in order to like basically talk over to those movements and then maybe try to change something from within there. Because at least if they're doing their
What?
I think you got cut off, dude.
Oops, he got cut off. Oh, wow. Are there any other questions on Reddit?
Yeah, there's just a few. One sec. I'm just taking a smaller look at them. I'm just trying to see if a few of these are either repetitive or.
I'm just looking at the chat right now.
Yeah. Joe. Oh my God. Jawado116 says, I think it's in Arabic, but because they have an Arabic user player, but
Yeah,
if it's
whatever.
not written in Arabic script, I can't read it. But anyway, so what's your opinion on the BDS movement? Do you know what that it stands for? Av?
Yeah, boycott, divestment, and sanction of apartheid Israel. I
Okay.
support it.
Okay, so I'll just support it too because you do.
Okay.
So Captain Breadstick says best weapons for revolution. Just the AK, honestly. There's a lot
Hammer
of
and
ammo.
Suka.
Yeah,
Yeah, sure.
AK very reliable. There's going to be a lot of ammo for it. You can't go wrong.
Yeah, and Slavoj Žižek, I think, is also a great weapon as well.
Okay.
It's a secret weapon.
Yeah. Instant Debris says, now that Trump is president and we've gotten a taste of his policies, do you think he'll be a little bit closer to being fascist than you originally thought? I think Trump is right where I thought he'd be, which is right-wing populist. So will he go into full-blown fascist territory with bringing back racial segregation, state-enforced racial segregation and whatnot? Probably not, but I wouldn't be surprised if he does. Like I said, I think he's right-wing populist. He has the potential to be a fascist.
I don't think the material conditions are right for fascism right now. It could change, but hopefully not.
I think he's just an ultra-conservative.
Yeah. The things, though, with material conditions is that they could start degrading even further, which could give, Trump the emergency powers he needs for fascism. And things as though, like, I think material conditions being degraded is going to be relative for the time period because for us, because we're so used to excess, just not having that much of it could count as, like, Great Depression for us compared to what our ancestors in the 20s and 30s saw. And yeah, that's it. That's everything from the full communism thread on this video.
Cool.
All right.
I'm just looking at the chat. Seriously want my comrades to hit me up. Hit you up? Okay. What do you want? Not going to say much else because OPSEC was seriously hitting me up. So okay. I think there is a way. Yeah, there is a message system. You can PM us. Although it's not a very good system, but I feel like there's a real distinction to be made with made with respect to proletariats captured by the right wing's false populism, in that they're a group that is ripe for potential conversion. Yeah, that's true. Waiting for Mike's client. Oh shit, I don't know. NATO? I was the one who thought. Okay. Which of you are more scared of, President Trump or President Pence, who is following the bombastic Trump administration, allowing the potential for Pence to get a shitload of Christian fascists at the time? Yeah, he's pretty bad too. Your audio not good, Sad. Oh shit, audio's not good. Oh well.
For me,
did you guys hear that the leader of the KKK died?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I heard that. Yeah.
Yeah. Killed by his own wife. So, but it's pretty good.
Willing to give Reddit name. My Reddit name is Rebel Canuck. Talking about Get Chan's microphone. I don't know what they're talking about.
And now we're getting questions at the bottom of the chat.
Yeah.
Fernando says, thoughts on Democratic Socialists of America? I'm not terribly familiar with them.
I think they're reformists, but if they're bigger than any other Marxist group, then maybe it might be worth it. I don't know. But
yeah,
not really though. There's not really any major difference in size, so I would favor Marxist group. Stalin won the war with strongly worded letters and think pieces. Didn't you know that?
Punk Rock Trucker says, any way to bring people to join communism?
Yeah, with YouTube
our channel.
videos.
Oh yeah, our channel. Exposing more media essentially would be good.
Trump be impeached or killed? Yeah, he might be impeached if he keeps up being a bad boy. He just might. Yeah, that's a good question.
A military coup would probably be very bittersweet in that Trump would be gone, but like we'd still have a pretty authoritarian government in charge.
Yeah. Let's see. I wonder if I can update the title of the video right in the middle of the live stream. Probably not. You'd probably have to refresh it. Q&A. I'm just going to type Q&A. So yeah, that's about it for tonight, comrades. We're going to wrap up there, and I think I'll put up that joke video. tonight
Oh, man.
too, so
I can't wait.
Yeah,
our
here we
epic
go.
response to Sorgar, to
Yeah,
Saragwan,
totally epic.
Saragwan
Totally.
of Akkad. I'm at the microphone of the person talking about Getchan. Oh, so that was me then. Oh well.
Sargon the Gozerian.
Trump is
Who
killed.
knows?
Would it even be a good thing? Not really. Any good books to share? People, any good books to share to people you want to introduce? I don't know. Like a whole book. The first book that I read was like Naomi Klein books. They were pretty good.
Yeah, I would say Anarchy Works. I think it's a very simple book and answers like all questions. So if people are curious about that, that's probably the easiest one. He puts it like the most simplest language. It's like very straightforward and it's very easy to read.
Yeah. Okay. Anyway, so that's about it. Have a good night,
Yep.
comrades. Thanks for joining us.
See you guys soon.
See you guys soon.
Have a good one. Later.
Later.